Good afternoon, everybody. I'm gonna speak English. I'm sorry, don't speak Finnish yet. I will try. So, yes, I am Luca Perego. I'm the Assistant Director General of DG Education, Culture, Youth and Sport. So we run this program from Brussels. And the idea today is to talk about this 30-year-old baby who has become now an adult, and to see together from the Brussels point of view what we have achieved, okay, in these 30 years, the impact of this program, and let's also try to have a look of the future. So, what we have achieved. First of all, this program started 30 years ago, and as you can see, there were just 12 countries who ran it. And so the very first students moved around 1987. Finland joined the following year. And then in the 90s, the Central Eastern Europe countries joined up, and slowly all the remaining countries, Malta, we got even Turkey in 2004, Croatia, and the Republic of Macedonia recently achieved the 33 countries we have at the moment. What is really impressive is to see, sorry, is it possible to move the slides here also? Because it's blocked, and so I have always to look back. Is it possible to move it? I don't know if I wanted to move it here also.
No, I'm sorry, it's not really possible. I mean,
okay, it's fine.
Yeah, okay.
Then,
yes.
okay. So I apologize from time to time. I will look as well at the slide because I can't read it here. Anyway, what is impressive in this slide is to see that in 1987 we got only 3,000 mobilities. At the time it was an amazing success. But if you look, we didn't put all the 30 years because it would have been impossible to read. But if you see, now we have 100 times more mobilities, okay, only in higher education. Because in 2017-2018 we are going to have more than 300,000 mobilities. And as you know, we have introduced mobilities not only for studies but also for traineeships. And this share of mobilities is also increasing more and more. It is also impressive to see that, again, comparing the 3,000 students who got the very first mobility 30 years ago, if we compare Erasmus to Erasmus Plus, so we look also to the different sectors that joined the program in 2014, sorry, we have achieved 9 million mobilities, counting not only higher education, but also schools, vocational training, youth exchanges, and the European Voluntary Service. And from 11 countries, we have now 33, and also, as you know, the international dimension. Last but not least, is not only Erasmus for a matter of mobilities, it's also a matter of strategic cooperation. That is a key action where we believe a lot in Brussels. So, these 9 million, where do they come from? The big part is still higher education, so half of them were done in the universities. But as you can see, a big share is also in youth exchanges, in vocational trainings, and in education staff and youth workers. European Voluntary Service is less, but maybe you have heard this new initiative of the Commission about the European Solidarity Corps, where we target actually to achieve the same amount of mobilities in the next 3 years. Then the Erasmus Mundus also is a share that is going to grow more and more. So, what is the impact of the Erasmus? You know better than us, I think, because you work on the ground, but still I think it's useful to share what we get from our reports and from our statistics we have in our systems. So, Erasmus brings people together. I think you know, but it is important to underline that, for example, 94% of the young people who has done a youth exchange become more tolerant. These are the results of the youth survey we do after after the experience, 83% feels more European. 85% they are more aware of common European values. And again, we got some individual stories. This is the big share we got from Brussels. And 88%, almost 90% of the pupils feels to have increased their social skills. Again, Erasmus strengthens the social inclusion. Here we are doing a huge effort. 1/3 of the youth participants come from disadvantaged backgrounds. This is something very important for us. There are some discussion about Erasmus being a little bit elitist because of targeting the higher education, so maybe young people that would have had anyway their possibility to go abroad, and it's very important to reach people with a disadvantaged background. We have launched with this refugee crisis already 2 years ago the benefit of the online linguistic support to 100,000 refugees and 7,000 cooperation projects. So Erasmus is also focusing a lot on the strengthening of the social inclusion. And again, we have evidence that Erasmus is anyway also a very good role to put in the CV, okay? And the employers appreciate that there is an Erasmus experience in the curriculum of young people. The Erasmus alumni have double their chance of employment a year after graduation. 1/3 of Erasmus Plus trainees are offered jobs in the company where they worked. They tend to find a job faster than the rest of the population. So, and of course, yes, job seekers count the Erasmus Plus experience as very, very important. Future of Erasmus. This, I think, that is something where all of you, but even me, are curious about. Okay, we are in the European Commission, so there are procedures. We have done. We are in the middle of the mid-term review of the Erasmus Plus program. It's a very complicated process. It's important you know about that. So where do we stand? That's what you want to know. We have launched already in 2015. What is anyway I think interesting to know is that we are working in parallel. So the member states, the national authorities, Finland also are required to prepare a national report following some guidance we have provided. This is already done. In parallel, anyway, the European Commission has asked to external consultants a report. This report is based on all the statistics we can provide, but also on interviews, on studies. This report, we received a first draft a few weeks ago, actually, but we have already commented, so it will take a little bit a while to come to something consolidated. But this report, together with the national reports, will be put together by us, and the result will be the official Commission report on the Erasmus Plus, where there will be a political communication, and then, of course, a much more detailed, factual report. All that by the end of this year, as a target, should be, but okay, if it not will be end of this year, will be beginning of 2019, not even a few months. What we can say, I think we all agree that the next generation Erasmus should try to be even more inclusive than the current one, so targeting more and more young people with disadvantaged background. Small community-based organizations, it is also very important to try to achieve, and because of this emergency that we are living in Europe, is also important to have good answers also with Erasmus, with the migrant emergency and the refugees emergency. We believe, and I have heard that we are on the same page with the director, also that the virtual dimension should be much more increased. We have a very good experience with e-twinning, with EPAL, and we believe that this should become something for all the sectors. So we are thinking how to not even scale up, but to use the experience we got for schools, even for higher education or for youth. But also the blended learning is something that we believe could be, we believe that the Erasmus Plus can play a role and can facilitate this increase. We are, for your information, we are launching a pilot on virtual exchanges. At the moment is only between Europe and neighbor countries. So we are targeting North Africa and the Balkans. It's a pilot. We wanted to reach 2,000 virtual exchanges, and possibly next year, if the pilot will show some success, we will scale up to 50,000 if possible. And this should be another input for the next generation. So we are already experimenting now virtual exchanges for the next generation program. European civic engagement is an evidence and is very important in a period of Euroscepticism like we have now, that Erasmus, who has already shown to make young people much more European, try to go even further, even deeper on European identity of young people and the values of democracy and human rights and solidarity, and of course social integration. This is something where the Erasmus can really make the difference between the European Union program we have. The international dimension is also something where we want to become more important. There is a discussion now in Brussels in a period where there is kind of protectionism in the UK and also in the States. Europe can really try to play a role and to attract even talents through the Erasmus Mundus, talents that would have gone in the past. In the States, they could come to Europe and become help us in the growing of our continent next years. Then, from a more technical point of view, there are some there is space of improvement also on how we can use the budget in terms of flexibility. Last but not least, this is a discussion that I think everybody will agree. Unfortunately or fortunately, I am involved in the discussions. It's clear that the merge of the different programs in one program created an administrative burden. We have discussed many times. At least they can. Testimony that we are trying to improve, but the administrative burden is really hard, and what can maybe handled by a higher education institute cannot be handled by an NGO, and definitely the Erasmus Plus program must become more accessible for small organizations or schools, for example, that want to join. The IT tools are improved in the last few months, I hope. That is at least what we have seen, but still there is a huge room of improvement. And maybe what happened in the past was that the Commission adapt procedures and tools only after this Erasmus Plus concept was done, and it was too late. So now, I mean, at least we learn from our experiences. We have already launched a discussion, assuming that anyway there will not be any huge revolution in terms of sectors, for example, in the program. We have already launched a discussion in order to see how the next generation IT tools for the next generation program will look like. We strongly believe in the cross-sectoral dimension. I hope you agree. So this is definitely something that we want to continue, and we have definitely to try to explore more the synergy with the other programs. Let me finish with an event that has been done in this year of campaign. So we are meeting here to celebrate the Erasmus in Finland. I have participated to other events around Europe, but we have also celebrated the 30th anniversary of the Erasmus in Strasbourg. And of course, all the most important authorities were there, including President Juncker. And I quote him because this is something that we want to really try to capitalize in the next month. So he declared that every euro that we invest in Erasmus is an investment in the future of young people and of our European idea. As we celebrate the 9 million person to take part, let's make sure we are 9 times more ambitious with the future of the Erasmus Plus program. We have to detail what means 9 times ambitious. I'm trying to convince everybody that the budget should be 9 times more. Okay, maybe I am over-ambitious, but it's important. It's important that the President of the Commission is aware of the impact of the Erasmus and wants to really be ambitious in terms of impact, at least, of this program, knowing that anyway the Erasmus Plus budget is 40% more than the sum of the former programs. So between us, because with the politicians we have to keep the pressure, we have already done an interesting increase in this generation program, but because of, I would say also the political context, because of the impact that this program is really concretely delivering, there is a very interesting discussion about multiply, I don't know how many times, but to multiply this impact. And this is the position of the President of the Commission, but also, because also the President of the Parliament was there, of course, we were host, and even President Tajani stated Erasmus should be a possibility for all young Europeans, irrespective of their family income and educational choices. That's why we need to work on a sufficient EU budget. So he's going to the point. I prefer to be always open and honest, and of course the EU budget is limited. I don't know if it will be increased in the next generation, so the Erasmus Plus is competing with other programs, but I think we are starting from a very, very good position, thanks to you, thanks to all the beneficiaries around Europe, thanks to this model that I believe is really one of the key of the success, working with national agencies, because it is called in Brussels a decentralized approach. We don't try to run things centrally from Brussels. We will not be able to reach you, while a national agency or more national agencies in a country can do this job, and this is really an added value. So thank you very much for this invitation, and let's try to really continue to show that this is a program that can make the difference, and it deserves to have more and more resources. Thank you very much.